But their story didn't end there.
How could there have been only one?
And he's back in business.
Is the worst idea in history of bad ideas.
Part 2 is the final chapter in the violent history.
This time, it's personal.
16th century Japan. Brave men ride into battle, fighting an evil emperor. With their only hope, a golden scepter that can open the gates of time itself. Now, in their darkest hour, come 4 brave fighters from another time, another place, another species.
You were expecting maybe the Addams Family?
They're back, and they're back in time.
Hey, dads, check it out! We're in Shogun!
Once before, demons defeated my ancestors. Now they've come back for me.
Talk about your quantum leap!
My cannons can destroy these monsters, my lord.
Uh-oh, this doesn't bode well. I love this stuff!
How are we gonna get home?
Silver! Somebody dial 911.
I have a feeling we're gonna be here for a very long time.
Another silver!
This is the worst rescue I've ever had.
I think I swallowed a frog. I hope it wasn't an ancestor.
New Line Cinema presents
A Legorama. Sweet!
the 4 greatest turtles
Hey, all right. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
ever to go down in history.
It's just your ordinary time travel equal mass displacement kind of thing. Kids.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Help, I'm a turtle and I can't get up.
If you like Japan in 1603, super androdyne radios with the triad tubes that are boss, weird Japanese antiques, ancient demons, feudal Japan, ancient wusses, head poppers, bungee jumping without a bungee, Elvis in blue Hawaii, then and if you like teenagers, mutants, ninjas, and turtles, then you're going to like the sequel we're talking about this week. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. And what was the version? What was the other time? Turtles in Time?
I think it's called Turtles in Time in like, I don't know, in promotional materials. Or
We
like
got to figure out,
different,
when they
like-
changed it or whatever.
I mean, I had the original VHS at the time, when it came out. And I remember just saying Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, like with the Roman numeral 3.
TMNT 3.
Yeah.
We're talking that movie this week. How exciting. Welcome to, how do we do this?
I don't
Whatever.
know. Just like, is
Welcome
that like a cold open?
Welcome to Revenge of the Sequel, the podcast just about sequels.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what happens. We're talking TMNT. We just established before we potted, we've never talked about TMNT. One of the most beloved children's franchises because of, I believe, the show that we all watch that lasted 10 seasons, probably has like 400,000 episodes. But before we dive into that, my name's Manuel.
Hey, I'm Andrew. What's up? It's John.
And we're talking about Michelangelo. Oh my God. Okay, hold on.
Michelangelo, Donatello.
What did you just
Raphael, and Leonardo.
There we go.
Michelangelo?
Yeah.
He said Michelangelo.
Like
Michael.
The Michelin Man?
We're talking
Piccolo.
Mikael. We're talking Dolce and Gabbana. We're talking Banksy, another artist. But we're really excited.
That's funny.
We assumed we talked about TMNT because they're kind of this giant specter in terms of a franchise that does have a lot of movies, including like a legacy sequel reboot with Michael Bay that we thought we talked about, but we haven't.
Yeah, I know. we were very confused beforehand. We're just like, we've done this, right?
What's your relationship to TMNT? Are y'all TMNT heads?
I don't know.
Then why are we doing this?
I'm going to let Drew go
all of us are like, no.
Well, because me and John again grew up with each other, so a lot of our stories as to how we were exposed to it was pretty similar. I think this was on the tail end of what my older brother and older sister were into. So this was kind of like on their way out of pop culture, maybe, and they were getting
way out of pop culture.
Well, because like they didn't like
gone.
Well, because like they didn't really like anything else after like they. I think it was I remember even them liking Power Rangers to a little bit of an extent.
I was gonna say a lot of
Transformers,
Power Rangers vibes,
Masters of the Universe.
I think it's maybe on a more specific front. It's just the transitioning because I think TMNT is an '80s property, like late '80s property,
early '90s,
and then and then that's when their childhood was before our childhood kind of started, which was like early '90s and stuff.
Some of them, I think some of it got trickled down.
It was like a run over of interest.
I think they probably had the VHS and they probably watched the cartoon. It was just around, and my mom wasn't going to buy more things for us because we're tight on a tight budget with seven kids in a family. Very traditional sense of like my dad's the one who had the job, and then my mom was the stay at home mom because there were 7 kids. So that's what we got there, where it's like, man, like you had to stretch every penny and every dime. So we would. And every nickel and every quarter and every half dollar and dollar. That's how we got around to watching these. We'd have them on VHS. We put them on.
Hand-me-downs. This is hand-me-down entertainment.
For sure, yeah. And we would play them to death. We're like, man, you would run it until the tape started to unravel in the VCR. And you're like, oh, we can't use it anymore.
Did y'all watch the cartoon series?
So they had the VHS of the cartoons as well. So they had these movies and the VHS cartoon.
And I think at the time it was still on like morning TV.
Yeah, I was just looking this up because I remember watching it and not like almost. I never repeated an episode when I watched it as a kid. Like they were all new for some reason, but I just realized that it was on for 10 years.
Yeah.
Season 3 had 47 episodes,
Heroes and a half show.
Is every week of the year. That's insane to me. So I mean, like a prolific amount of TMNT from the original run. Like that's a lot of eps for kids to be watching.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this movie is I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you and John did, but it's just because it's attached to those types of memories of like growing up and that's why I remember the Turtles to this day. And they have a new story right now where there's a couple of things that happens with the Turtles that will kind of get me to notice them every now and again. Like I think recently in issue number 44 of I think one of the more current runs.
Yeah.
Donatello dies. Bebop and Rocksteady come in with sledgehammers and they bash his shell in and they break it up and he dies.
And big thing to establish, TMNT started as a comic book series
for sure.
To begin with.
And that's why I think that the animated movie Turtles Forever really does a good job at representing all the different ages of turtles because it's like a multiverse of madness but with turtles. And they show the original ones, the ones that used to kill people, and that's why it was in black and white, and you couldn't tell who was who based off unless you were looking at their weapons and stuff. But so it's attached to these types of memories growing up, and they even have a more modern story today where it's called The Last Ronin, and only one of the turtles is left, and they don't tell you who it is until you read the story, and you end up finding out that the three other brothers died. And you have to figure out who it is because you kind of get all 4 of the turtles in his head because of how scarred he is, because of how the ways his brothers died. But so I still keep up with turtles to this day because of those types of memories that I have with these attached to my family. So I think my mom learned all her dance moves from this.
Oh my gosh!
Because I remember her imitating them when I was a kid to make us laugh.
Yeah.
And so that's the type of memories that are attached to with these movies and the turtles specifically. So
and it's not, I think, inaccurate to say that these movies were kind of. Because we're specifically talking about the third sequel to that first TMNT movie with the Henson suits that everyone like kind of knows and loves. But these were pretty targeted, like 4-quadrant movies. It's supposed to be for kids to enjoy, but also for daddy and mommy to like as well. And I think that's partially why your mileage varies with age with these movies. Like if you're. This movie that we just watched and we're going to talk about probably entertains kids quite a bit, because you got like 4 Barneys on there, and then I never understand what's up with Splinter, like what that puppet is, but it always feels like he's the hardest for them to animate because he does the least all the time. Does that make sense? Like he can't walk, so don't like have him look up. But meanwhile, you got the turtles fucking running around and jumping,
and rolling,
but not Splinter. Splinter.
There's multiple stunt people for the turtles. Like there's like people who perform, and then there's the people who.
This is not live action. Turtles?
It's so crazy because we've employed people who have like replicas of these suits, and
Yeah.
so they look really hard to move in, and they're all screen accurate, and they look really good.
Jeez, yeah.
But I was like, man, I don't know how they're doing half of these stunts. We even had Ernie Reyes Jr., who was the pizza guy in one of these movies.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one, if it was the first one or the second one. But yeah, it was wild that we had him at our booth, which again just cements my attachment to the Turtles. I still go to watch the Michael Bay's ones. I knew they weren't going to be good.
Yeah,
but I still
we
had
might
to kinda
talk
go,
about those soon because
check 'em out.
they're very Bay-ish, and it's kind of a. I mean, they get the Bay treatment for
They
sure.
kind of have a little bit more in line with their subject matter than these movies do, actually.
And
I think so.
And if I'm not mistaken, they did pretty okay. Like people went back to see TMNT. I don't know if they went back for the Turtles or if they went back just to see like, you know,
what's up,
giant what's up, just to see what's up,
just to see what's up. Because like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's,
well, I'm gonna give a brief synopsis if I can. I don't even know how to describe this movie. And I didn't write anything down, which is awful. But basically, there is a. What is it? a lantern?
It's like a scepter.
There's a scepter.
Magic scepter.
That transports April O'Neil and the Turtles to feudal Japan. And there they get into some shenanigans and try to solve
so April goes first, and the Turtles go to chase her to go get her, and that's the whole reason why they're there.
Yeah, and then they get mixed up in two rival groups, honestly, and they're like kind of a...
It's the rebellion versus the empire.
Yeah, with a little mix of some colonizers with guns that want to get in on some of that action too. But that's basically what happens. If you've ever, I read, there's a book called A Yankee in King Arthur's Court. It's kind of the same thing. It gets redone often, but it's basically like a guy that goes back in time and doesn't like it's a fish out of water.
Yeah, fish out of
and
water.
I think that's from like the 1800s and it just gets redone over and over and over again. I only know about it because there's a Wishbone version of this book that I watched.
Respect.
But what did y'all think? I guess, John, what did you think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time?
I think
Question mark?
Question mark.
Yeah.
TMNT
IT.
TMNT 3 tit. What do you think about that movie?
I guess in watching it now, I know it's probably not the strongest of the three movies. I think I may, even when it comes to the original trilogy, like Drew said, I mean, we grew up with these.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I've known about them since, as long as I can remember. Like, I've been watching the cartoons, and, these movies were fun. I think the first one is still very much an enjoyable experience when you watch that first movie from 1989, I think.
That's why I love pizza.
Because they like pizza.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was like, I gotta get myself some pizza. Like the marketing really worked on me.
I think
we gotta get some fucking Domino's.
That's why I followed Large Rats and asked them for to be my father figure.
I think my pizza obsession. I was like, well, it's not important, but I was like,
Home
I think
Alone?
they came up
Home
with.
Alone?
No,
Yeah.
I think it was a
Pizza
Little
the Hut?
Caesars. Little Caesars, like the commercials.
Damn, so the commercial worked for life.
Yeah, exactly. The
Wow.
ads. Hey, ads work.
You guys hear about this AstraZeneca? They keep talking about it on TV. Everybody loves it.
But this movie is, it's okay. I mean, I think my nostalgia for me, the nostalgia that I have for this movie is having me, defend it, I guess. It is a very, what you said before we started recording, you did see some lazy filmmaking in it, and I definitely know what you mean. Like, there is some, like, it's probably someone on the set, on the day of was just like, oh, we need an extra shot, just leave it running or something, or let's do a pickup like this, literally, like just like walking the camera over and you're just hitting record.
Or just like just set the camera up and let the turtles do their thing. Let them play.
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, it's not, again, it's obviously a movie for kids. I think for me, even trying to find good things to say about it now, like I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for what it is. Like, it was something that, like, it was from my childhood. I loved it. I think when you kind of get some years away from that, the concept just becomes, like, when you start thinking about it, really thinking about it, not that you need to, but the concept just gets more ridiculous the more you think about
And
it.
you're doing something really different here. You're sending them...
Yeah, you're sending them back in time. I think that's a funny trope to throw in. But yes, I mean, the movie is, like, there's some funny set pieces. Actually, no, there isn't. I mean, there's some funny. I was gonna say, I guess I meant to say there was some exciting set pieces, but there are some, like what Drew said, it is fascinating to watch like martial artists in a suit, and like watching them do like spin kicks and shit. That's pretty wild.
And I think the thing that is interesting is you've got like very obvious slapstick comedy, parody, and then they do try to do some pretty grounded stuff. Like sometimes the mutants weren't going to come back. Like that's one of the things in the movie. They're like, no, we're staying because
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's kind of like
there's like a build up to like a potential execution scene at the very end, which is wild.
Anyone ever say like I like turtle soup or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. There's a lot of fat shaming, or just some fat shaming with the big boy from the prison.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Maybe I just blocked that out or something.
But I guess the joy of this
is edited out of my copy.
The joy of these movies is hanging out with the turtles themselves, which are like walking, puppets basically. Their facial expressions, their facial expressions are funny. Like their voices and the way what they say are just like
their personalities.
Yeah, the personalities are so like out there that you can't help but smile. Like even if they're saying the dumbest stuff, like
even though they're just sometimes repeating lines from The Terminator or Wayne's World.
Mikey walks out of the fire and he goes, "Eat your heart out, Kurt Russell," and I was like, because the backdraft's so funny.
Yeah,
and Clint Eastwood, they give him it's a very like they're the Deadpool of turtle movies.
Yeah, and so. But having them like it's funny though because all the turtles always seem to be kind of confident all the time. I guess they're just kids. To me, I never even thought of them
teens.
I never thought of them as teens even as a kid, which is weird because I was like they act kind of like very unique.
Yeah,
Now
you're older than them and you just want them to get a job.
Yeah, exactly.
How do they get?
That dude is making a very intense face to the girl who's playing like April O'Neil.
They're giving their all.
Yeah, they're trying hard.
That dude is really that dude. I'm gonna
From Zorro.
shout out. What's his name? Fucking Stuart Wilson as Walker. Let's go down the cast name in this case then, or let's go down the cast. So we have Paige Turco as April O'Neil, who is back from the second movie. The second movie, which will, I guess,
she replaced the girl from the first one.
She replaced the girl from the first one, which I forgot the name of that one. But like, or that woman.
Secret of the Ooze. Oh, yeah, it was like the movie.
No, Secret of the Ooze.
Never forget Secret of the Ooze. It's the secret.
Of the Ooze,
go ninja, go.
So Secret of the Ooze is campier than this one. Like way goofier.
Hey, Vanilla Ice follows me on Twitter, baby, because I tweeted it one time.
I've seen. That's I think when we get to what I thought, like that plays a part. I think of how I react to this.
Oh shit. Well, let's get to your thought before we go down the cast.
We gotta go to Drew's thoughts first. Oh yeah. Well, let's go to
we were on your thoughts and you just cut us all out.
Drew, what did you think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3?
It's a movie. There you go. I'll say that.
I think that I turn a blind eye to most of what's wrong with it because
you're looking at this through green-colored glasses.
For sure, through ooze-colored glasses, oozing.
Clean your glasses.
All over me. Yeah. And so
these turtles get spots in
because
this movie, right?
I had liver spots because now they're getting ready to be adults.
They're not teenagers anymore.
So I again I do turn some blind eyes to it. I did find myself chuckling.
How many eyes you got?
At more 4 because of my glasses.
They got the pink eye, the whispering eye, the third eye,
the brown eye, Damn, I don't know.
You said you turned one of your many eyes to this movie,
and that's it. I'm just kidding. I had a little. I found myself chuckling a little bit harder than I thought I would at some parts, but yeah, it's probably not a good movie. That I can tell you that much for sure.
How does it rank in your turtle?
Turtleverse?
It's probably third.
Oh, really?
Because the second one's even more nostalgic. Like I know the second one's not a better movie than this. This is probably a better movie than the second one, but. The second one's just so nostalgic because of the same reasons that I just told you. So I would probably watch the second one more because that one was more of my favorite and it had more
budget. Probably.
Well, I don't know, more toys. Like it had a little bit flashier parts where it's like we have Tokar and Razor and stuff like that, and you have Shredder in there too. And this one they're just fighting samurais. Like the Foot Clan.
Yeah. Jim Henson doesn't even do the suits for this one.
Like
I think it's someone else. I think they're the same suits, maybe modified, but like the Henson company didn't do this one.
When in the first they fight the Foot Clan, and that's probably why I never put that one on either. Because in the second one, it's like the flashiest, and Vanilla Ice comes out, and I love the ninja rap, and I'm just kidding.
That's peak 90s, like or not really. It's early 90s, but still,
so it's probably the worst. But again, I still had fun with this even today. Like so the original plan was to analyze that. Me and John watched analyze that, and we had such a bad time that we're like, we have to pick something else. And I am glad we picked this
Oh,
one.
yeah,
so
you're
it's
for
like compared to both of those, like I should have had the same reaction watching this as I had for Analyze That, but I didn't because of my attachments. I don't know. So I had fun with it, and I liked it as a kid. I don't hate it as much as I should as an adult.
Yeah, and I think that I was watching this through
shit colored
glasses. Gotta clean my shit. And my third eye was no. I'm kidding. But I mean, I think I told y'all like I've seen the other two TMNT movies, but definitely not recently, and maybe really, really long time ago. And I enjoyed them.
You saw when they came out,
but maybe I maybe thought the movies were really great, and so when I watched this one, I was like, oh my gosh, am I wrong? And I was like, I don't want to watch the other ones because I may be a little disappointed.
This one kind of feels like it should have aired like on Fox, like
That's
like
what
with Power Rangers
yeah.
or like Mystic Knights of Tirdanong, where it's like, man, this feels like a movie that you would have made for TV and then aired it one Saturday.
It has a lower budget than the second one, obviously.
Yeah, but a double the budget of the first one, I think, which made $200 million.
It's just wild though, because like they got the guy, what's his name,
The
Elias
first one was
Koteas
wild.
or something.
Yeah.
Elias Koteas, who's an Oscar-nominated, I think, actor. He played Casey Jones in the first movie, skipped the second one, and then came back for this one as like a one-liner dude.
Yeah,
and then as a dual role too. Like he's like plays some.
That
sort of
was
ancestor.
interesting. Yeah, I was like, you saw him in the past, but you love him or what?
Yeah, what's going on?
I think the idea of using time, I think, is a very lofty plot device. And
1991, the arcade game Turtles in Time came out. This one came out
That
in
makes
1993.
sense. Yeah.
So I think it's just it in name.
It's established.
It's like,
yeah,
oh, it has to do with time.
They know it, and I feel like also TMNT is really, it's a great franchise for movies, but I think it's a much bigger franchise for toys and for the ancillary stuff for TMNT
cartoons
is
and video games. They just had a
Yeah.
Shredder's Revenge, which was a spiritual sequel to Turtles in Time.
That
come
makes
out
sense,
last
yeah.
month or like 2 months ago, and people loved it. People went apeshit for it.
So I don't think TMNT really needs the movies as much as and as they need the rest of the stuff. But this movie I just thought was super campy. I wish it had it is literally what it sounds like. It's the turtles in feudal Japan, and that's it. Like a lot of the comedy, of course, is like really broad, and of course by design, I think for kids. But I feel like a lot of it just doesn't age as great because so much of it is cultural references from that time.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and also some of it's like maybe misplaced. There's like a point where they say "schwing" to April O'Neil, and I don't know if they know what that means in Wayne's World, but that means they what? And I was like, oh damn! But it is like an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's funny that you caught that because I was like, I remember watching it. I was watching yesterday, and then I was like,
so damn, all of them want in on.
Well, and
they all want it.
Well, because I just remember being that's a Wayne's World reference, and then like walking away being like, oh shit! Like I was like, what that means in Wayne's World?
Like he switches roles, like that guy. What's his name? Kenshin. Kenshin switches roles with April.
Yeah.
And so when they look at him, he's wearing what April was wearing, and they're like, how'd you get in April's pants? And I was like, damn, that's a wild thing to get away with back in the day.
And the
especially
hijinks,
because they're teens.
The hijinks is there. Like when they go to feudal Japan, the royal guard comes to, I guess, our time in New York
in the sewers,
and that just plays as like a honestly kind of not really important to the story, but just a funny thing with Casey. So that way they have something. And Splinter again, which I don't know if they're allowed to move him. Like he's
in the same spot, right? He's like in a train.
I mean, he is literally
like
a puppet,
train,
literally a puppet.
Where
you don't see
the character. He doesn't move.
Yeah. Like Jim Henson's not here. We can't move him.
You don't see the bottom half of him for the majority of the thing because he is just being, which is like fine, but it's and I will say this, like I thought this was going to be worse than what it ended up being, especially considering.
The movie
the movie and the comedy, because this is a broad comedy franchise and they're putting them in a different culture in a place in history.
Oh yeah.
And I thought the jokes were going to be wild, and I was like,
kind of distasteful.
The whole thing was going to be about how crazy it is that some people are Japanese, but it doesn't do that.
It doesn't.
It gets, April does give me a vibe of like entitled tourists sometimes. Like she gets captured and she's like, "Hey, leave me alone. I'm an American." And I'm like, "Oh my god, geez, like
tourists."
If this was a Michael Bay movie now, she'd get decapitated in 500 takes or whatever. But it is like super high. I think it's still a really fun watch. But I don't know if I would watch it again. Does that make sense? Like, I think it's a really fun romp. But if you don't have a podcast talking about sequels,
there's no reason.
There's not.
Would you show this to a kid
Yeah, I'd watch it to a kid. Yeah,
who
put it
liked
up.
TMNT?
Yeah, I'd put that shit on.
Yeah,
I wouldn't watch it with him.
I think it's built. I mean, the audience is built in. You know, if you like the
Yeah.
Turtles, then you're gonna probably seek this movie out. Like,
And I feel like I am.
You don't have a choice. It's not a
what a
concept.
strange.
And they
freaking
said
concept this whole thing is. I mean,
No,
the
it's Turtles in Time, 1991.
no. I mean, the general turtles walking,
Just turtles getting oozed.
yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah,
in
no,
general.
it's teenage tortoises.
Yeah.
that just happen to be studying ninja moves after they're mutated. Yeah, I
and then
understand.
who get like emotionally stunted at that age.
Well, and that's why I want to see.
And then
like,
they all have quirks. Like one's
Well,
super
and-
smart with computers, and the other
when
one's
they're
like
probably
fucking a
gross,
samurai.
cool.
Turtles age really slow, so they're probably teens
True,
for
relative,
like a long
yeah,
time,
forever.
And so what I want to see is them in their adult phases. So
Old
it's
turtle,
They're just called
adult,
Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles.
it's 2037.
adult mutant ninja turtles.
AMNT
doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah.
It's funny that I think at one point, I don't know if Eastman and Laird said that this could be like, you know, I don't know how serious they were about their creations back then, but
Yeah.
I could have sworn that I read somewhere, I probably should have done more research before this, that like weren't they created like as a parody of like some
Daredevil,
stuff?
yeah.
They were creative, like, yeah, because like the foot was like,
I'm
like
pretty
the
sure it was a
hand, based
on
Daredevil.
the hand.
I think it was like a Daredevil thing.
like a parody,
Like
or
it
a
worked
satire
for
or
them,
something.
yeah,
yeah, and
and I think their influence was just other comic book people.
there was, like, Frank Miller stuff,
Yeah, and,
yeah.
what's the guy? Yeah, a lot of Marvel shit. So
yeah, like Mazzucchelli was like, you know, as
Bro,
like some of the
and
stuff.
It's crazy because I've met Kevin Eastman. Like I forgot. Like that's how close. So I told you about Ernie
Well, 'cause
Reyes
it was a
Jr.
comic book, and then so like, but what made it
fucking met him.
what made it popular was when the comic book turned into a cartoon, like a Saturday morning.
yeah, for
cartoon.
fucking 10 years, for a
Yeah.
whole decade, you were
and then that's what got
showing
everybody
kids
like, on
TMNT.
Turtle, yeah,
Video game merchandising.
yeah, that got everybody
Ooh,
Turtle
Lord.
Mania,
Turtle
and stuff.
toys,
Yeah.
Turtle Mania.
I get a bunch of the vintage action figures
Yeah.
at the shop all the time. It
It's
sells
high
really
concept,
well.
you know, back in the '80s, when you know, giant walking turtles that
And
fucking
so
beat your ass up.
It doesn't age as well now, but it's very nostalgic. So like people,
yes,
who,
exactly.
people like it's had years to build up its fan base, and those people have money now.
It's like what you
because-
said. Like we went to go see the Bay ones because of our attachment
For
to
sure.
the franchise.
And then
that
those
we're,
those people are introducing their kids to it, and then now Seth Rogen's coming out with a new modern
Nickelodeon
take.
owns it now, and so it's just like
I was ordering Funko.
Or, no, Paramount owns the franchise, so like they put a lot of stuff. What you're ordering Funko?
Yeah. I was looking at Funko Pops, and they have the ones for Seth Rogen's movie like coming out like in May of next year or whatever. So I was like,
it definitely reinvents itself a lot. Like I forgot about the 2007 one, the CGI animated one.
That's also a sequel to this one.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
that's the fourth one.
Yeah, and then of course
That probably would have been a better movie.
The Bay ones made $750 million combined, so there's a market there. But I don't necessarily know what people were expecting going into those movies because
Megan
those are
Fox
very
and Will
different.
Arnett.
I forgot Will Arnett is in
Tyler
it.
Perry's in there as
I
Baxter Stockman.
Liked both Bay
Stephen
movies.
Amell.
They're both very different from each other. One of them feels like the first movie feels
Sheamus
like
the
a
wrestler.
The first movie feels like a genuine reboot.
Yeah, I remember the first one.
And then the second one
Johnny
is
Knoxville?
the second one is a fan, like, you know, it's a what's
Fan
it called?
service galore.
That one has
Fan
Casey,
service.
right?
It's
Yeah,
fan
because it's got the
service.
Technodrome and all
Yeah.
that, like the one from the cartoon.
It's damage
and all
control.
that.
There you go. It's fan service, like damage control. Like people who were like, oh, the first one was
Too
kind of not like
different.
that. Yeah, too different. And so they throw in literally the entire lore, like, you know.
Yeah,
And that
for
movie
sure.
we
Bebop
could have.
and Rocksteady
That movie
and
came
shit,
out
like,
after we
Casey
started
Jones.
Revenge of the Sequel, so we totally
yeah.
could have watched it. It was only like 5 years ago that movie
Yeah,
came
yeah.
out.
We
So
probably could have watched it.
all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play a quick game, literally a fast game, turtle, and it's called Turtle Time. I'm gonna ask you all questions,
It's
and I
turtle
guess
time.
text me or do a group chat with all of us, I guess. But text me what you wait. No, you know what? Do a private one so I can give you each private points. But
I'll be confused at our message timeline tomorrow.
this is Turtle
No,
Time.
he said private one, so you one-on-one.
yeah, that's what I meant. I'm
Oh,
gonna
I
be
see.
confused.
Hold on, let me find you.
It's called Turtle Time. I'm going to ask you questions about turtles and about the concept of time and relativity, and you'll answer. And the more you get right, the more points you get, just like every other time we play this game. The loser has to eat a turtle, a live, and it's a big one too.
What? No soup?
No soup for you. Soup Nazi. Turtle Nazi. Okay, here we go. I am going to ask you all the first question. Price
Did you
is
say
Right.
Turtle Nazi.
Yeah, like Soup Nazi, but we don't have turtle soup, so it's just Turtle Nazi. Which somebody draw that. Like a little... Nope. Okay, here we go. How many bones? Price is Right rules. How many bones are in a turtle's shell?
Ooh, Ooh.
A lot of people assume it's one big bone.
It's like me, big boned.
I'm going to.
Hey, I only got one big bone. It's not that big.
Yeah, and it's soft.
And it's small.
I have one big bone.
Price is Right rules. How many? So, John, you guessed 4. Drew, you guessed 22. Drew, you get it because there are 60 bones that make up a turtle shell. 60 bones.
So I'm like I'm in that category of people who think it's just one.
Yeah, because you just guessed 4, which is not that much more.
It's more than one.
All right, the last question already. The next question. Due to the gravitational drag of the moon, is our planet slowly losing days or gaining days? This is a time question. This is not a turtle question, just for people keeping track. Because of the gravitational drag of the moon, is our planet losing days or gaining days?
I'm going to be surprised at this answer either way.
Yeah. I hope you all watch Interstellar. I'm just kidding. Because that would help. You both guess losing, and you both get a point. We are losing days.
Fucking time.
I think the it's only like 23.
It's not that much, yeah.
Like 7.5 hours.
Millions of years ago, like
so we're only losing like what 30 minutes.
When
like
the
timeline,
we're losing an hour a second.
Yeah, by the time we're dead, we have lost a whole hour.
No, but when the dinosaurs survived, a year on Earth was 370 days. So we've only lost 5 days in millions and millions of years. But
that's funny.
It's still happening. It's fucked up.
So another million years, we'll maybe like another 5
day.
days.
We finally get that. one day.
Yeah, exactly. We got an extra weekend in there.
That's why we have leap years, and that's why we have the daylight saving
all this weird shit that we're doing.
Fucks with time.
And I don't respect any of that because time is a construct, baby.
Yeah, time's man-made.
That's gonna be on a jury trial soon. Jonathan the Tortoise is alive right now and holds the record for longest living animal. How old is he as of his birthday, February of 2022?
Price is Right rules?
Price is Right rules.
Prison
Jonathan
rules.
the Tortoise is alive right now.
Where the fuck's he at?
I should look this up. Let me look this up so we can go get him.
I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
That's probably him.
Steal the tortoise?
He probably saw the Declaration being signed.
Wow, he's hatched, and he is in.
He's hatched.
The British.
Of course
Oh, yeah. Oh wow, he's got his own damn island.
Nice.
Which is exciting for him, but he's so old he cannot mate, so there will never be another one. I'm sad. Okay, here are the guesses.
Clone his ass.
We're gonna. John guessed 107. Drew, you guessed 200. It is Price is Right rules, which I remind everyone is closest without going over. He is 190 years old. So, John, you get the point technically, even though Drew, you were closer.
It's the
That's fucking crazy. Like he's so old. It's
That's
like
why I was
freaking
so
life
close.
is like dodgeball to him. He's about to he's like freaking like
He was born in 1832, and there is a photograph of his birth. That's kind of like there are old photos of him around with people in the 1800s, just like
how did he survive?
standing around.
So he was like he had to have been like preserved, right? Like
well, that's one of the things I think in the area is he's on an island, and these islands have no predators, so like
He smoked a cigarette a day.
His wife is still alive, Frederica.
But the thing is, like, well, I'm just saying, like, he had to have been, like, yeah, like they were preserving that island, right?
Oh, they're preserving it now for sure. But yeah, like I think back then.
Back then it was just like survival of the fittest, and he's just the
Man,
fittest.
can you imagine the zookeeper? Hold on, idea for a movie. Poor man's copyright. A movie across 6 lifetimes. The zookeeper's taking care of him and dying, and Jonathan going to all of their funerals, eating their dead carcasses or whatever because he's still alive.
What? The grass on their graves.
The grass on their graves, and they've become grass because it's been 190 years.
That fucker is old. Like he's older than
dirt.
He's older than the country.
Yeah.
Than Betty White.
Wait, no, he's not. He's older than some countries.
Why is this here? I have a question. This doesn't make any sense.
Oh man, this is gonna be cool or scary.
No, I'm not going to ask it. No, I thought at some point this was going to be a quiz about feudal Japan at some point, and it's not going to be. So I'm leaving it out.
So you left your draft.
I was like, whoa, this is a hardcore question that has nothing to do with turtles or time. On the planet Mercury, how long is one day? On the planet Mercury, how long is one single rotation of that planet?
I was like,
how long is one rotation of the planet Mercury? I cannot tell
anyone
you.
Out there to live on Mercury, let us know.
Listeners on Mercury, hit us up. hit me on the hip. Beep me. All right, here we go. Andrew guessed 12 hours. John guessed 8. Andrew, you're the closest
What the
without
fuck?
going over. But the correct answer is 2 years. So you were over for sure, but just by a couple hours over, John. But nobody was close. I don't count that.
How long was the day?
2 years. It's 2 years. It takes to rotate. So
So I get a point? Cool.
Yeah, you get
That's
a point.
wild, dude. Like, I'll see you tomorrow.
And then dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So wait, hold on. Let's do the math here. So Jonathan's only been alive for a couple of days on Mercury.
On Mercury, yeah.
19 divided by 2, so like 90 something days on Mercury. Wow. Okay, cool. 98? Is that what that is? Shit, somebody hit me on the hip. 96 days. 96, I think. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Here's another question about time. The final question, because I ran out of it. And I definitely ran out of turtle, too.
That's good.
John, you can tie. That's all you can do. Because everything we see is just light, and light takes time to reach us, everything we see is in the past. Drew, are you ready to understand this?
Yeah, I actually took astronomy, and so this was my favorite subject.
I was talking about the bong you want to pass me while I'm saying. How long does it take for sunlight to reach us on Earth? So everything we see is the past, baby. Because we only see light.
What the fuck? Like,
but how long does it take for sunlight to hit us on the hip, to beep us?
Oh, damn, I think I did it too. I think it's...
Price is Right rules.
Damn it, I fucked it up.
I'm not even going to
Drew
attempt
guess.
a real one.
You're not going to guess. You're going to roll over.
Yeah.
Wow, you're no Jonathan.
It's actually...
John, you
fucked
guessed
it up.
longest time. Drew, you guessed 3.5. And nobody gets a point
It's
because
30
it's
minutes,
8
right?
minutes and 20
yeah,
seconds.
exactly.
But Drew, you've won because you got 3.
I know
Fun to
turtles
buy.
and time.
I'm going to give you the trivia I wrote down about feudal Japan anyways, even though it's not really a question. I wrote it as a question, but I'm just going to tell you the way it is.
When did you write it? Was what, like 4 questions or 5 questions?
Yeah, I ran out of time. I watched this movie, I started this movie at 5 p.m. today.
That's great.
But apparently in feudal Japan, so if you go to Japan, that's why Wagyu beef is so expensive. There's no livestock there because it's an island. Because of a lack of livestock, they didn't have enough manure to farm because there's not enough animals out there. So guess what they used?
Human feces.
Human feces, and it became like a commodity, so much so that they like farmers would put toilets on the roadsides and have like rooms for toilets because they would go back and they would call it night soil, so they'd come get it. But because of this, Japan didn't have outbreaks of the diseases that everyone else did. Like Europe had the Black Plague and shit, but everyone was like throwing their shit just like in the sidewalk.
ground,
And they were like, why are we getting sick? And Japan, clean as a whistle, because they're like, oh, we're pooping and moving it.
This is all context to that question?
Yeah,
That's
the question
fucking crazy.
was, what shit was the shit they used? Human. You would have gotten it. But isn't that interesting?
That's wild. Why did you just took a tangent from watching the movie?
This is how I ran out of time, because this was going to be a feudal Japan trivia, and I was like so far in the weeds in feudal Japan, and I couldn't ask the questions because there's no way to sensitively go around like kind of the
Some
harshness
stuff.
that was going
Yeah,
on down
yeah.
there. And then I was like, let's not do it on this. And I was like, fuck, it's been an hour. And now I know a lot about samurais and some of the shit that they did.
Yeah. That's great.
But we should have known.
That was some of the most
We've seen
fascinating-
Hidden Fortress. And
That probably saved this podcast. Just
Yeah.
that piece of info, because I'm mind blown. Like,
about the poop?
Yeah.
Or about time? Or about turtles?
All of it.
This could be. We should have like fucking Denny Villeneuve do a reboot of this movie. He would do so good. Turtles.
Let's have Chris Nolan do a Turtles in Time.
In Turtles in Time movie. Be like,
ooh, yeah.
McConaughey's like going to his, I don't remember the movie, his daughter's.
Don't let me leave Raph instead of Murph. Still a PH.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, there's no more corn, so we can't have pizza. Wait, there's no corn in pizza.
I can see. I mean, you can throw the turtles. I mean,
Who should reboot the TMNT movies?
We're joking.
Seth Rogen.
I guess, yeah, he's doing it. So
it seems like it's funny though, because like the turtles are such a ridiculous concept that they kind of work in anything that they throw them in. Like you can have a turtles horror movie, you can have a turtle like whatever.
What?
Like, no, I'm saying like the turtles, the stories, like because they're so like.
Oh, the TMNT. So,
Yeah,
I
like
thought you
the-
meant just turtles in general.
No.
I was like, you just want to throw
Not those
turtles into like
the TMNT
every
turtles.
movie?
Like you can
Yeah.
throw like you can give them I think most of their stories are sci-fi, for good reason. But like you can throw like a horror story at them, and they're all sprinkled with comedy anyway. So it's just like
their villains are wild.
Yeah,
there's a lot of hockey. There's hockey. There's a ton of hockey in this movie.
A lot of hockey for some reason.
It's interesting. I don't remember how
news
did
reporting.
They revamp all the hockey stuff in the Michael Bay movies?
I don't think they did.
They didn't. There was no hockey stick in any of them?
No. Casey Jones is in it in the second movie.
He does skate. And with a hockey stick and a hockey mask.
Yeah. But do they give it like some kind of grounded?
He's just a hockey dude.
He's just doing it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
I think so. I'm not sure.
What can you do? How can you do that anyway? Like, what are you gonna do?
That would have been like. I wonder if anyone nowadays like
play hockey.
Well, no. If they go around like that, like they're just like a cool badass with a hockey stick and hockey mask.
Some colder weather places, maybe.
Yeah.
But not here. Like if you had a hockey stick here, people would look at you funny and ask you what that was, and you'd be like, "It's a hockey stick."
Yeah, they'd mistake you for being someone out of like Happy Gilmore or something.
Yeah.
Ugh. I think you got to go towards the Last Ronin idea. So the Last Ronin is like post-apocalyptic.
You want to go more Japanese stuff.
It's post-apocalyptic, and again, all it's not as ridiculous because there's only one turtle. His three brothers are dead,
and he ate them.
Well, and you don't know. Yeah, you don't know what happened to them. So that's the thing. Is
which turtle would it be?
There's an answer in the comic. You want to know?
No.
So there's a spoiler. I can tell you right now. You just got to tune out for the next 5 seconds.
It's probably fucking Jonathan the tortoise because he's never gonna fucking die.
Imagine that. And you're just like.
And so the reason you don't know is because obviously he had that traumatic experience where his brothers died, and so his brothers' voices are in his head. And so you don't know who's thinking or who it actually is. He wears a black bandana.
They're all in him,
and then he has all four of the weapons. And so you're like, damn, like. Who is it? And so it's that's a really cool thing I think they can play with, and it's way in the future. So yeah, I think that's the only way I think you could go with it because it gets a little bit more gritty and stuff like that, and you get that empathy and sympathy for the character because he lost. It's always been the brothers.
And there is kind of a lost tragedy in the TMNT thing because they obviously don't grow up normally. They assume. Just like Luthen in Andor gave up love, kinship.
No, it seems like they're
kindness.
They're all very well.
With ghosts.
I don't think they accept the fact. I don't know. It was like
they accept it pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean they're having a good time now.
Yeah, it was like they're very casual, like
they love
human
pizza.
Human-like.
And in this movie, it feels like one of them is like romantically like he wants to stay behind for Yoshi, the boy, and. No, his mom.
Oh yeah. It is weird because Kenshin is her lover.
Oh, and she's like,
I want to stay.
And she's like, go home. I don't like turtle. I don't know what you think is gonna happen here, but I don't want to be with a giant turtle. It's funny though how they encounter them in this. They're all like, oh shit, which I think is valid.
Every time they see him, everyone's like freaked out.
Demon.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Poke you owe me a code.
Yeah, we're doing
we're just inviting demons on the show.
I'm not going to go through the whole cast again.
You can if you want to. I mean, we'll just tune out.
We were going to, and then we lost it, and we went into the game.
Corey Feldman's in it. Some Ridley Scott lookalike who's like a henchman is in it. The guy who plays Walker, his name is like I think Stuart Little.
Are you joking?
No, I am.
Okay.
I forgot his fucking name. I just wanted to say, like, for anyone who actually cares, if anyone's seen a movie called The Mask of Zorro, I think he plays a villain, almost like a carbon copy of a villain that he's playing here.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. I know these two haven't seen The Mask of Zorro in like a long time.
But a long time.
I just remember. I think even when I saw that movie, and I was like, "Is that the bad guy from TMNT 3?"
Yeah,
and more or less, it kind of is. And so it's just like it's played by the same guy, but I think that the performance is very much the same thing.
Yeah.
So
and this movie, like, we're talking about the movie and how things that didn't work or things that did work, but this effectively kind of put the kibosh on more TMNT movies of this type. For a while, like not until.
They're the TV show
20 years afterwards.
Well, you're right. I mean, this was the last of the original franchise of movies
with the Henson,
with the Henson
guys,
stuff. Yeah. There was talk of a fourth movie, I think, because Eastman, I think it said, regarding this movie, he said this movie was an attempt to try to bridge to go back to the style of the first movie. The first movie is kind of. you can show that to a kid. It is kind of a dark movie and kind of like a little, I wouldn't say mean, but it's like grittier than.
I remember the poster was like a manhole cover and something popping out of it.
Well, when you watch it's a very 80s depiction of like New York. So like everything's really grimy.
Just like the Batman and all the shit that was coming out there.
Yeah, it's very grimy and everything's like dark and stuff. You know,
the city.
You know, in the 80s, you know, there's a newspaper. Like it's just the newspaper just littered everywhere. There's scenes like that.
Now it's just fucking iPads.
Well, the second movie was like very campy, very, very silly, like super silly.
Yeah.
So this movie was like an attempt to go back to the maybe
In
just
time.
bridge them both. Yeah. To bridge them both. Eastman said that because of it didn't make a whole lot of money, that they had to kind of put plans on ice.
And I want to put some context to that. I just pulled up the 1993 in movies
and Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah, number one highest grossing movie, Jurassic Park, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Fugitive, Schindler's List, The Firm, Sleep in Seattle, Philadelphia, The Pelican Brief. I mean, these are actually a lot of
all of those movies,
dramas, but
but those movies would have done, those all those movies, even box office wise, like probably did circles around, like this
a ton,
movie.
yeah.
I think the next turtle related thing that happened after this was in the late 90s. I remember watching a show growing up called Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, where they introduce Venus de Milo.
Yeah,
the aqua blue.
Yeah,
turtle.
97, 98.
Yeah, I remember watching that. I think that's the next thing that happened. And I think that was like technically a sequel too before the animated movie came out.
Oh, and they crossed over with the Power Rangers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Good night. I don't remember that.
It was very, because I think at the time I watched Power Rangers, so I remember seeing that too.
And then it looks like, we talked about the 2007 movie, but that was a direct adaptation of the animated series that was existing, like 2003, 2009. And it was doing really well, so they decided to release the 07 one.
The movie, yeah.
Before we got,
Before we got it rebooted, and then we've had it. It's been rebooted like a couple of times since even the Bay ones. Because I think like they're
still recognizable for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's like what we said earlier, like the audience is built in. I think, Paramount has it. I think most of the shows are on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
So like they're obviously they went back to basics. Like this is a kids programming. Let's make it really good programming for kids.
Which is honestly smart.
Yeah.
Because it's the only way you're going to ensure it's relevant for next generations. Like for Halloween, I saw kids dressed up as TMNT. You can still buy the toys I think available most of the time everywhere.
Yeah.
Which I think is like is a show of resilience for a franchise like this. I mean, it obviously started with comic books and toys, and the movie. This is all ancillary stuff. It's not the other way around.
Right.
It's not like Star Wars where like people want toys of the movie. This shit's around regardless. And I feel like it's up to really the filmmaker or whoever's taking Seth Rogen, I guess, to have some kind of adaptation that enhances the product, because let's be honest, these guys they don't make any more TMNT movies. They'll be fine probably.
Yes, definitely.
But if they do well, it just lends itself to be even more successful than ever before. So I don't know. Well, any other things you want to talk about about this bad boy, or do you want to do final thoughts?
I think I guess we could go around the final thoughts. I mean, I like the Baltimora song, which I know is probably predates this movie by 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But that first time I heard that song, Tarzan Boy, and it's a very hard song to get out of your head when you listen to it. I think I might put that over a trailer on this.
Jesus, Drew. I thought you started playing a track and it was you singing.
Oh yeah.
I legit was like, wait, what?
You looked really freaked out for a second.
I was like, so nobody is making a big deal about someone hacking our audio. Oh my gosh, that scared me.
TMN3 though, it is the third movie in this franchise, like the way the box says. Probably, again, if you're a fan of this, like I guess everything on ROTS that we talk about, but like if this is you probably have to see this movie if you have any interest in the Ninja Turtles. Ninja
at least
Turtles,
once.
Yeah, like very beloved franchise. It's obviously, again, you see it as an adult. It's made definitely for kids. But I guess the if you have an attachment to the franchise, you can enjoy it too. Everything that Drew said about the different storylines, the ambitious ones, like The Last Ronin and stuff like that. Like that's really cool. I never thought it would ever go in directions like that, but that's why you get some like
so
this franchise
these new takes.
This franchise can survive kind of like Star Wars, where it's just like different strokes for people. Like
gotta reinvent the wheel every time.
That Last Ronin is obviously not something you'd get your kid who's like probably watching the Nickelodeon version of like the Ninja Turtles.
The turtles are dead, Mom.
But like But yes, the franchise is pretty. It's I'm okay with the franchise. I have a history with it. It's and, it's not for everyone. You kind of outgrow it pretty quickly, but it is very nice. And there's some funny moments in this movie, like in all the movies. But
it's it's honestly a big swing because it's not just taking them out of New York; it's taking them out of our time.
Yeah,
like
and I think there's an interesting, as far as like the way the movie is too. There's definitely an interesting movie in here somewhere. Like maybe more work on the script, maybe a little bit more exciting, like set pieces. If we were like thinking of what could have made this movie better, because I think the concept of the turtles going back in time is kind of cool. I guess if you're running out of ideas, shake it up. But watching it as an adult, it's kind of it's a silly movie, and it's at times a little boring compared to like its the first two. But fun time. It's fun. It's always fun to hang with these turtles, and especially the '90s turtles, like the ones with the suits, like these. You don't get those anymore, and now they're all the CGI creations. So it really is cool to see someone in there moving around and operating the eyes, and
and that kind of stuff sort of holds up.
Yeah, that stuff holds up, and it's exciting to see them interact with like other actors and stuff. So it's cool,
and it's neat when that happens. Like it's like watching the old Planet of the Apes movies, and you're like, oh, that's the '60s, and it still looks really like it. It still looks really good. I think TMNT is one of those examples.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, what do you think about this movie?
Yeah, I think it. You don't have a lot of options when it comes to live action turtle movies. So if you were a fan, I don't know why you wouldn't put this on. If your kid was having a TMNT party, this is something like you would play the three movies on in the background where they didn't really have noise, and you could play music over it or something or whatever.
I think a kid nowadays would probably prefer the Bay ones. Like
yeah, maybe
that's true. They're used to that now.
And but it's very TMNT has always been a little bit more niche in the pop culture spectrum, like kind of like Power Rangers. They've had some ridiculous crossovers with like Ghostbusters and Transformers and Power Rangers and in the comics and and things like that. I think they crossed over with Batman. I think recently in the animated stuff, which was pretty cool because you get to see Shredder fight Batman and things like that. Ra's al Ghul gets in the mix with the League of Shadows and stuff like that. So there have been certain crossovers that have been a little bit more campy. So movies like this really don't faze me when it comes, because the turtles themselves are in a sense pretty campy. So that's what I mean. There's always going to be those ideas that I think shake it up to make me want to check the new one out. I think they're going to be around for a long time. They're a little bit more niche than some things are, but also they're bigger than a lot of things too that are a little bit more niche than them. So, I do compare them to Power Rangers, where there is a
Transformers.
Dedicated fan bases for sure, but it's also not for everyone. But I think this movie does fine in that sense of being campy and being a turtle, and they eat pizza and they crack jokes just like the way they do in every iteration besides the first ones where they were super dark and they were just killing people broodingly. But yeah, it's I think it's pretty self-aware as to what it is, and it's watch a trailer and that's exactly what you're gonna get from this movie. No more, no less.
Yeah.
So I think it was whatever. It does have some nostalgic value for me, and that's why I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than I should have.
It's a family film for sure. I think you started off by saying that it's kind of has a TV movie feel, and I think that's kind of where it perfectly fits. Even if it's like episodic, like you really want these guys to, you really want these amazing turtles kind of just dropped in scenarios and do their thing, and to do that in feudal Japan is nice. I don't know if it carries like an hour and a half or 2 hour movie, but you do like them. And that's why they have so many crossovers and stuff. They have all these different personalities and they do something like they do their turtle thing. So it's neat. And I'm sure that's why they succeed so much in TV. Like they're freaking, there's probably 1,000 episodes of TMNT out there, and it works. And it kind of makes me want to watch Elvis in that Blue Hawaii movie, huh? They keep talking about it all the time.
He's green.
Yeah. Master Split saw that movie too. Spoiler alert at the end of the movie. But yeah, well, let us know. Well, you don't have to it's on Netflix. You can watch it.
Yeah, you can. It's
on HBO Max also.
Yeah. This belongs to the streaming services, I feel like, because the turtles belong to Paramount Plus, to Paramount. So you'll probably always find
them around.
And it's pretty cool. I feel like I feel sorry for. I don't know why they need my pity or anything, but it was like it's almost like
pity.
Well, it's like the popularity kind of surges and then doesn't surge. You know, when it comes to TMNT, but like.
Honestly, for kids, that new series, I don't know where it was on, but
I think it's on Paramount. Yeah,
was it really?
Or
Oh, the Nickelodeon. I think that really worked because kids love that.
Kids, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like, but when you, it's like what you said earlier. When you know where you're aiming for, like who you want to watch, like I'm sure you're getting the numbers you want.
Yeah. And these kids are gonna grow up and be like, I watched my CGI 3D version of TMNT.
Right.
Hey, I'm getting new statues, new comics, and new toys every day of
and
TMNT.
then you said Seth Rogen has something coming out. Is it a movie? Is it a show? What is it?
I think it might be just a different version of the animated show.
Okay.
It's just his like take on it.
Okay.
Or like a writing or maybe
They're
a producing
all stoners.
purpose.
They all make ceramic goods.
I think they look different.
Jeez.
I think their design is maybe a little designed a little differently.
They haven't done that yet. They haven't like done a adult not live action at least, like specifically targeted to like people who like the old ones and maybe these.
They
but
should do the
you know
black
what?
and white.
They probably would never do that.
A Nor one.
I don't think they can.
They wanted a 4 quadrant, get kids in there and stuff for daddy and mommy.
Yeah, I think because I was like even the I don't think the second Bay movie did that well. I don't think I think the studio looked at that and they're like. Those look pretty expensive.
Those weren't necessarily. Those were action movies. Those are like action
movies. Yeah,
capital A action.
Yeah,
movies.
those are like those come in a post Avengers world.
Yeah,
so
they
like,
live in the
like,
same Transformers world.
Yeah, and so it's like everything is like a giant CG fest at the very end.
Yeah.
But naturally, I mean, you'd want to see a more exciting movie now.
Yeah, that's what that's honestly what it takes for someone to leave their house.
Yeah. But like I think the numbers for that second one kind of it's not enough
Didn't
for the
do as
other
well.
people to like get it.
And again, I'm sure if we looked up the movies that came out that year, you'd be like, oh shit, everything made $1 billion.
Probably,
it's just kind of a tough time. Well, let's go around the horn, give our plugs, and then maybe like who your favorite turtle is. Drew?
Leonardo, always and forever. He's most people think Raph is the leader, but he's really kind of like the Batman, where like Superman's the leader, but Batman's the cool one, so everyone thinks that Batman's the leader, but he's not. I think Leo's my favorite turtle. The things I have to plug is going to be the Countdown Strikes Back. Check out all that stuff for your Andor, Tales of the Jedi, Grogu and the Dust Bunnies needs for sure. I think
Grogu and the Dust Bunnies.
Yeah, Bad Batch and Mando will be starting soon as well, so we'll cover that. We're getting into the High Republic stuff, Phase 2, hopefully soon, so check that out. And then if you love the professional wrestling world, check out the Dirt Sheet Radio. They just completed their 100th episode. I think they're 101. It's coming out pretty soon. So, yeah, congratulations to them and everything that they do over there.
John, what do you have to plug?
I'm going to plug...
and your favorite turtle.
My favorite turtle is probably Michelangelo. He's so goofy. He doesn't take anything seriously. He loves pizza. Sounds like,
the party dude, a real party dude.
Sounds like, my
kind of guy.
Personality for half my life. I'm going to plug Countdown to Infinity. That podcast seems to be going to infinity because of the amount of episodes it has. It's rivaling
Vita forever.
It's rivaling TMNT on the on the output there. But in all seriousness, it is cool to talk about Marvel stuff. Since that's ongoing, you should listen to our Black Panther: Wakanda Forever podcast. We had a good discussion on that movie, and we all seem to kind of enjoy it. So that's some good listening there, and I'm sure it's going to keep going on with even throughout some breaks and stuff. So stay tuned for some cool shit there.
Yeah, I think there's there's a lot.
Oh yeah, the Guardians holiday special.
That might be next. Is that next? Yeah, I think so. Right. But yeah, definitely listen to all of our pods and support the pod at patreon.com/DelphinPod. We got stuff there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.